Okay. If you think about it, when you're born like a blank canvas, and over time, like as you live here, like on Earth, you get like bruises, stretch marks, scars, freckles, to show that you were here like on Earth. And there's another like body art that you can have, but you have to purchase, and you get to choose like what your design is, and that's tattoos. I have a few. I have a rose on my arm, and then I have a quote on this arm. So today, and I'm sure that like most of you guys want tattoos or probably already have tattoos. So today I'm going to inform you guys on the what tattoos are, the history of tattoos, and different styles. So there's two types of tattoos, and the first one is temporary, and the second one is permanent. So the temporary ones are like henna tattoos, or like the little designs that you buy that I'm pretty sure everybody has had, where you put it on your skin and you put like a wet towel over it for like 30 seconds, and then you take it off and you have it for like a day. And then the permanent ones are actually like by definition a puncture wound that is made deep in the skin filled with ink. So the ink is filled, like the needle's filled with ink, and as it goes into your skin, it permanently scars your skin. And it doesn't really hurt, but it depends on like your pain tolerance. So in that picture, you can tell how deep it goes into your skin, and it pretty much lasts forever. It does fade, but for the most part, it does have, like you do have it for the rest of your life. So tattoos started like they existed like 12,000 years before Christ. That's what they say. And Tahitian people made the word tattoo, which means to mark something. So that word traveled around with the activity around the world, and it eventually like was known as, before, like back in the old days, like women tattooed their wrists and their fingers to prevent illnesses, because they thought that it it guarded themselves from like bacteria and illnesses. And then fast forward to 2005, where Miami Ink was the show Miami Ink was aired, and it showed a lot of people how tattoo parlors look like and how tattoo artists connected with their customers. And then it was so popular that LA Ink was produced, and it was a really big hit in California because a lot of tourists like to go over there and meet Kat Von D. And even now, the show called Ink Master, where I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you guys heard of it, where regular tattoo artists go up and compete against one another, and they try to compete for the name of Ink Master, and they also get a big amount of money and a lot of credibility with their artwork. So that's pretty much it. So for like how it became popular in the pop culture. So eventually, so in Ink Master, like for like a little preview, they do have to compete in different challenges, and with those challenges come different styles. So there's different kinds of styles. There's about like more than 10, and the ones I'm going to talk about, the first one is traditional. So traditional tattooing, mainly, it's the oldest style of tattooing. You have to have bold, thick lines, minimal color, impeccable precision, which means it has to be crisp and clear. Most of them show like daggers, roses, skulls, hearts. Like my rose tattoo is a traditional tattoo. It doesn't have any color, so it's in black and gray. The next style I'm going to talk about is realism, where it's basically a photograph popped out like on the skin. So it does have to look really, really nice and detailed. It has to have a lot of clear lines. It's shown in black and gray or in color. It costs a lot more than traditional tattoos, because like traditional, it's just like a simple design, whereas detail in realism, detail is really important because it has to look real. It has to look realistic and in 3D. And the last style that I'm going to talk about is Japanese style, where it's like the hardest style because it's the most sacred. So it has to follow ancient traditions in Japanese style. And the tattoo artists have to follow crisp positioning. They have to be pretty large. They have to either take up the whole arm or they have to take up the whole back. They have to have specific colors, positioning, and it has to follow the tradition to the detail. So you can see that it's pretty hard to look at it because there's so much to see. These usually include dragons, koi fish, cherry blossoms, or in like water, so waves. And to conclude the speech, Tattoos are pretty interesting because it's like you're telling a story without using words. So it could be a conversation starter. It can just be something that you like personally, or like a quote that you live up to, or a picture that reminds you of somebody that passed away, or it could just be like a picture that you like. So I believe that in society, tattoos should be more acceptable, like in workplaces or in like schools, because it's like a freedom of speech. So everybody should be able to express themselves freely without being judged. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
All right, Amber, I like the analogy you had at the beginning as your attention device. I thought that worked really well, and you had a nice solid transition to the topic. You've got a point of view that you express. I do think that you want to be careful about using that word inform in the purpose statement. I think I warned you about that on the first speech, so let's not do that again. The content is pretty good. I think you do need to cite some information. I got a lot of pieces of information. I'd have no idea where they came from, and the closest you come to a source citation at any point is they say, and I don't know who they are and why I should trust them. So I think that's a little bit problematic. Delivery issues. You're standing behind the demo station the whole time. I think that separates you from the audience unfairly. I think it would be better if you had the visuals set up so that you didn't have to be in that position the whole time, and you could use the remote, for instance, and approach the audience a little bit more. That would be a lot more engaging. You had a few gestures and a few indicators while you're speaking. That's okay. Your facial expressions seem like they are engaged with the audience. Your eye contact is inconsistent, though. You have a tendency to look down at the computer screen while you're speaking. You do look up regularly, but it doesn't feel like you're engaging in the audience when you do that, and I think that's problematic. The visuals are fine. They illustrate the points. It sounded at one point like you were going to, I thought you said that there were 10 different styles, and then you only talked about 3, so I'm not sure if I misheard or if you just misspoke. You might, when you listen back on it, see if it was just an accidental kind of thing. It could have gone either way. It could have been me, it could have been you. But I was surprised when you only had the 3 because I was expecting, oh my gosh, we're going to get a whole litany of these kinds of things. 3 I thought was plenty, by the way, so that was good. Like I said, it just seemed like it had been set up for something different. The paralinguistic cues, I think you have good volume and there's very good variety in your voice when you're speaking. It does feel a little bit rushed. Anxiety issues, I think it's mostly the positioning behind the demo station and the lack of eye contact that indicate those things. At the very end of the speech, you get sidetracked on a different issue, and I think that misses the point. If you wanted to make that as a persuasive, you could do that. And I hate that exit line. That's about it, That's pretty much it. That's what you said. That's pretty much it. All right. Well, that's pretty much it. Bye.